and for today's tutorial I wanted to show you how to make one of these gorgeous candelabras made from a DRUZY mold to give you this gorgeous DRUZY insert, and also using crystal clusters and some gorgeous opal baubles. So to start making this candelabra, we'll need to make some crystal clusters, and I will list the resin that I'm using below for this because I was having a discussion with Olga from Art for Start. She made this particular mold and she sells them. If you're interested, I'll leave the link down below too. And I was just saying to her that when I want clear crystals, I don't have a pressure pot, and they're very expensive, and she did suggest to me that I try this particular resin. It's an extremely low viscosity resin. It's almost transparent, and the trick that I've found is to leave it about 20 to 30 minutes so that most of the air bubbles have come out, and then you pour in really slowly, as you can see me doing. I'm going to be using a spoon to spoon it in, and that I find is the best way to get rid of bubbles. So for this two-tone effect, I am mixed in some amethyst, a really light amount of amethyst pigment, and I've put that down first, and then I'm spooning on some clear transparent resin with absolutely no pigment in at all. And I'm going to spoon these in really delicately and really slowly. So I'm using this and I'm pretty pleased with it. It does leave some bubbles, but if I go really slow with this spoon, as you can see that I'm doing here, I get much less. I'm not going to achieve a completely bubble-free crystal. It's not really possible unless I do have a pressure pot. So this is the best alternative, and it does work and it does look lovely at the end. But obviously, if you don't have this particular resin, my suggestion would be to create an opaque version of these crystal clusters, and then you won't need a pressure pot and you can use any type of resin that you have. And you don't want to leave this the entire 24-hour cure. You want to start unmolding it after about 12 hours when it's still pliable. It's much easier to get out of the mold. And then the best way to get these out is just to stretch them either way, and once one corner pops out, you can pull it out. And when there is like a little puddle of resin there, just grab underneath it. And this is why it's good to do when it's not fully cured. And then just stretch the two ends there. And that side there too. And then pull from here. That side out, whoops, and then you can grab one of these ends and then wiggle. Wiggling is the best way to get it out, very gently so you don't tear the mold, and there you go. That's that one, and then the last one, the same thing. Press back, grab hold of there and pull out. Look how gorgeous those are. So to make the actual candelabra, I am going to fill up that silicone mold 3/4 of the way, and I'm using some mica powder, but you could use any colour that you wanted to match your particular candelabra. And you can see I've got a little glass tea light holder there. I bought that from my deco shop, my local deco shop here in France. So you'll need to find something similar, but this is, I found one in purple, and that's why I've matched this purple to it. So I'm going to just do a very simple technique of putting the main colour all the way around. And for that DRUZY effect that you'll see later on, I did want the centre to be quite clear. So I'm going to put a rim of the purple, and then I'm going to fill it up with clear resin, just transparent clear resin without any pigments in. And what this is going to do is blend the two colours together, and you'll get a sort of a mottled effect. And then you let this dry overnight, and then we'll continue with the rest. So just a quick torch to get rid of surface bubbles. Although since I will be putting a top coat on this, it doesn't actually matter if there are many bubbles. But just get rid of a few, and that actually helps the effect too. So this is the next day, and what I am doing is, so once you've got rid of any of the bubbles, I am going to gently insert the glass tea. And now I am inserting very carefully the glass tea light holder. And this was a tricky bit because it's rather scary trying to put your crystal cluster in. You want it to go in the right way, because once it's in you can't really take it out or you ruin the effect of the base. So there I go, I finally found it, and I'm just inserting it in quite carefully, and then I'm just going to leave it there. I'm just going to get my hands well away and not touch it and not fiddle around with it, and then let that dry overnight. And so here we are back again with my round insert, DRUZY insert, and I've taken some leftover of that same colour, and this is actually the same colour from the crystal clusters. I think I did that on the same day, but this is to show you how to make a reversed DRUZY effect. So you can see I'm just going to pour it on top of that DRUZY inserter. That's the silicone DRUZY insert, and I'm going to flatten it out as flat as possible. And I want the edges to be quite mottled. I don't want them to be too rigid or round or smooth, and that will help with the effect eventually. So I've got my little handy silicone spatula, and I am just spreading it around and getting rid of any bubbles. That's why I'm tapping like that. That helps with the bubbles. So here it's the next day, and you just simply peel it off, and look how easy that comes off. And there you go, you've got that gorgeous DRUZY effect. Almost looks like tempered glass. So what I'm going to need to do is cut this down to size, and this has now dried. As you can see, it's completely hardened. And I think it looks great as it is, but I did want to add a little DRUZY effect in the middle since I'm doing this DRUZY series, and I wanted to show you how you could do a reverse effect of this. So I'm going to take that piece that I've just pulled off the silicone mould, and I'm going to shape it with a pair of clippers so that it fits inside of that mould and it cannot stick out at all, or the effect won't work. So I'm going to get a pair of clippers and just keep going around, clip, clip, clipping until it fits. And there it is. It's nice and snugly fit. And what I'm going to do now is go and make a little batch of, just a small batch of resin. And before I do, let me introduce you to these baubles, these gorgeous opal baubles by Laura's Art Corner. They are absolutely stunning, and I've only got a small bag, and I'm going to have to order some more. So I was a little bit stingy with them, and in hindsight I could have used many more, but I'm going to use a pair of tweezers there, and you can see that I had that crystal cluster there, and I thought, well, that might look nice, and then I changed my mind. You know, you can do that as an artist. It's your project, you can do as you please. So here's my resin, and I'm going to spoon it in really carefully, spoon by spoon. And when I say a thin layer, I mean a really thin layer, or that DRUZY insert there, that little piece of DRUZY that we made, it will disappear completely. So I'm just pushing down the sides, making sure that it covers the entire base, and a really thin layer. And just to make sure that it does cover the entire thing, I think I maybe just put 3 or 4 teaspoons in, not more than that. And I've gone round the back there on the right as well and made sure that it's covered with resin too. So I'm going to take my baubles and I'm going to have a little fun, and these really are lovely and opalesque. So if you bury these completely in resin, they'll disappear, but these are going to stick up, so you can see they still have that opalesque sheen to it. It doesn't disappear, and it's just a little fun effect, just a little bit more blingy touch to the sides. I mean, you don't have to do it, it's optional, but I had a lot of fun doing it, and actually in hindsight I should have put many more because I did have a nice bag there, and I just wanted to see what it looked like, and I didn't want it to be too garish either. I mean, it's your project, you do what you feel, but I wanted it to be elegant and not too gaudy, so I only put about, I think I put maybe 12 or 13 of them. And they will just sit inside the resin and they'll dry up and they won't fall off. And so here is the last step. You take your little druzy and you very delicately let it float on the top, and then do not touch it. That's the secret. And let it dry overnight. And you can see that just the edges there have been soaked up with the resin, and it just blends in really nicely. So when you unmold it, and this unmolded pretty well, and I'll leave the link for that particular silicone mold down below as well. That's the underneath. And this is just an example of some others that I've done. So this one here, done exactly in the same manner. So you can see the druzy runs through the center there. And I've got the crystal clusters on that side. Then this one I've done this way, I put a little bit of glitter at the bottom, and I've actually put the druzy mold that you've seen me do with my napkins, my napkin holders, plus some crystal clusters on the side too, and they've all got little feet like this underneath. Just show you that one. And then the last one, it's the same thing, and you can see there that I'd actually put a little too much resin inside the base for the top coat, and what's happened is it's eaten a little bit on the top of the druzy. So I've got some there which looks gorgeous there, and this is what happens if you put too much and it overflows on top of that druzy insert. So, and this is actually not a candle holder, this is a phone stand. Really practical. So I've put 2 of these crystal clusters either side, and I've spaced them, kind of measured it by eye, but that's because I've done 1 or 2 before. But if you just sort of measure it, so you can put it as much as you want it to lean. So I've done that much. I quite like it that angle. So there, just some more ideas, plus the one that we did today using the same technique. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Leave any comments down below, any questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer them. Take care of yourselves. Bye!